Oh,
Yeah.
look at these guys. Whoa.
No, I got all three of them. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Laser Source podcast, the #1 podcast. If you're a humanoid looking for laser help, that's right. It's Lasertron 64.
There's something different about you today, Alex.
Shout out in the chat if you know what Robotron is. I want to hear it. You probably don't. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Oh, I'm laser everything right now.
Bomberman. Close.
Is it? I feel like it's Bomberman. Laser me?
Do you know who Bomberman is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. That was like the jam game when it came out.
Robotron is sick, actually. So Robotron, the thumbnail's based off of Robotron 64, which is like the newer N64 version. It was actually a game for the Atari 7800, and it is very good. It's probably one of the better titles on that system. So
Better or worse than Duke Nukem?
Oh, bro.
Duke Nukem 64.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I think it's more fun.
I came to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all
out of bubblegum. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the best, bro.
Don't get me wrong. I like Duke Nukem. Duke Nukem's great, but I think Robotron has higher replay value.
It's fair.
Yeah. How's it going?
Busy.
It's been chaos.
So busy.
Cool. Everybody's real lively today.
I've been working on a lot of projects that I'm not able to talk about yet.
I've been doing some olive wood.
I feel like Kyle's always working on shit he's not able to talk about yet.
Right, yeah. He's like a walking, talking NDA.
Anthony got to see one of the projects I've been working on that I can't talk about yet.
I can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it.
Welcome to the #1 laser talk show that we can't talk about
We
this
can't talk
laser.
Welcome to Fight Club.
All right, I guess that's it, everybody. Have a great night. See you.
Holy crap, look at chat.
Yeah, we got a lot of people we got to
yeah.
say hello to.
Yep, Andrew, Vince.
So before we go off on a tangent here, if you guys have questions, now's the time to leave them in chat so we can actually get to them.
Oh my
Laura
god.
tried so hard to be first. You'll get them next time, Laura.
The
Well,
important thing is that you're here.
In the end, it didn't
And we
even
love
matter.
you.
She tried so hard,
And got so far.
but in the end, it didn't even matter.
The music quotes, man.
I know, we're good.
Widgets.
We do widgets. Rob, what's up?
Oh,
God, yeah, we
Bronson's here.
Bronson.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Laura, Anthony's here and there.
Yep, Keith Bordley. There's Kindred.
Miranda's here. Just woke Alex up.
Miranda's literally right over my shoulder right now.
Yeah, because she's
you.
making sure that you're awake. She's probably like beating you over the shoulder.
I'm
She's handing you a
more
Coca-Cola.
awake than you.
And then you missed Rob from Gulf Coast. Who's here?
I had this whole like Lasertron intro ready to go, and it was high energy, and then you guys were just like, "Eh."
Yes, we are the problem.
You are the problem.
Yeah. Here at 8:45 discussing things, talking about non-linear. We're jerks like that.
Politics,
Yeah, pretty much.
non-sanctioned work discussions.
So you guys having your own indivisible thoughts there, your individual thoughts, and no
Indivisible?
Yeah, because we can't be divided. We're the United States. Boom. Totally made that work.
Yep.
All right, let's see.
Lasers.
Ooh, Michael from ET Laserworks said he has a question. How are you guys doing?
How you doing?
I'm exhausted. I'm really tired.
What did you do today? I didn't even hear from you. Like, not once.
I was trying to.
Was like dead to the world over there.
Well, we have so we filed an extension on our taxes, first of all, so that sucked. So I'm still getting that stuff together because when you own a business, it's just a fucking nightmare. So I'm doing that and just like going back and forth constantly with the bookkeepers and Allison trying to get the taxes squared away so I can move on with my life. And in between those things, I was like trying to wrap up the rest of the footage I need to shoot for the JP Plus stuff. If you saw the episode we just published, saw all the cool goodies we got. I did my very best to use those materials on every single laser in the shop, at least every single class of laser in the shop. And I'm just missing like a couple things. Like I need to do the leatherette with the fiber. I haven't done that yet. And I need to do, I need to try the color woods on the UV. And so I just like there's just little blank spots on like this big chart that Kyle made in Google Sheets to like keep track of what we did and didn't do. And I'm trying to get that filled in so that I can just like not go into the office for a couple days and just sit home in my big comfy chair and edit. And
it's like full card bingo.
Yeah, but I can't do that yet because I'm still not done. So I'm probably gonna have to go back tomorrow and try to fire up the lasers again. It's just like every time I turn a laser on, like somebody's asking me for paperwork. So it's just taking longer than I want, but it's coming along. It's going good.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I was working on some of the classes for the LMA today, and while doing that, I was running cups, and while doing that, I was answering emails, and while doing that, like it's like nonstop too, man. So, and then I've got some crystal awards. Oh, I got some deliveries from Johnson Plastics Plus, our sponsor. So that was kind of cool. Got some more goodies from them to add some color this season, especially because it's award season. So I'm really excited to share about that kind of stuff. I don't know if we're going to do the unboxing video first and then talk about it like next week, or like what do you want me to do there?
I don't know. I don't really have a hard schedule set for getting my stuff out. I know it needs to be soon because I told everybody it would be soon, but I don't like.
You just got the box 2 weeks ago.
I don't know when it's going to be. Yeah, just got it 2 weeks ago, dude. Speaking of boxes, I got 2, not 1, but 2. You weren't here to sign for your package things today from UPS while I was at work, and I don't think either of them is from Johnson Plastics Plus.
Yeah,
it'd be
were.
weird.
I got my stuff today.
Did you have to sign for them?
No, and I have to sign for them.
Both of these required signatures, which was very strange. So there might be like a laser or something. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know.
Oh wait,
I'm waiting.
I know what they are. I bet.
I'm waiting for some stuff, but there's like a lot of things it could be, and there was no indication on the slip what that was. So depending on Miranda's schedule tomorrow, I may or may not be at the shop to get those. I should have signed the back of them and just stuck them back up. The worst part is I was there, and I just had the garage door closed because I was trying to film. So I missed them. But Johnson Plastics Plus is our sponsor. We kind of breezed right over that today. Shout out to our sponsor, Johnson Plastics Plus. They carry all kinds of fancy laser stuff. If you're looking for, fancy, colorful woods, man, dude, I was looking at those woods. I'm really mad they didn't send me the blue. Did you see the blue?
Well, now that I looked once you were like talking about them, and then when I saw the video, I still hadn't seen the video of you like peeling off the stuff from the front. Like I saw the finished products.
Yeah.
I never got to see like you undoing it, but like when you're under the lights with that stuff is so bright. I was like,
it's so bright, dude. It's super nice.
And then the backside. So is the back like?
I don't know, dude. It looks like they just soaked the whole last sheet of wood in like a vat of dye. So I don't know why there's an A side and a B side. I still don't know. They both sides seemed to engrave to me.
And one is shiny or something.
Equally poorly or well, depending on the laser. It really depended. Like on the CO2, like I just could not get my CO2s weak enough to reproduce what I was getting on the diode. With like something like the X-Tool D1, I was getting like nice, like almost white engravings on those colored woods, which looked beautiful. Looked really nice. Anytime that I stuck the wood under the CO2, I just got like a no, it didn't. I wish it would, because that would be better. I just got like a medium brown. So it was like a medium brown on red or medium brown on green, which is super difficult to see, and it was inconsistent. You could see like the glue from like the wood, and it just like wasn't working. So maybe it'll do better on the UV. I don't think that's the one that I haven't done with the UV yet. But yeah, there's an A side and a B side, and I don't know why. the one thing I noted in the original video that we uploaded was that the A sides looked maybe a little darker and just a little more saturated, but it was a minimal difference. It was a minimal difference. So
Yeah, the two comments here. Rose Kindred said, "Beats the sorry I missed you when you're home." Going back to the like you missing your
It's the
packages.
best.
Like I've literally seen it where like my Ring doorbell says like there's motion at your front door, so I click it and it's like the UPS guy like running away. I'm like
Like they don't even have the box; they just left the thing and ran.
and then
it was like, do you guys remember right before LBX, the post lady came and put one of those on my door, and then literally I like confronted her about it, and she didn't even have the package. She was like, "It's not even in the truck." I didn't.
I
bring
remember
it.
that she was like, "It was just really heavy this morning."
Yeah, I didn't feel like
touching it.
bringing it.
And then you straight up, I was like, "What'd you do when she said that?" You were like, "I told her, okay, well maybe tomorrow you could bring it."
Yeah.
The other thing was John saw the video and he said the A side versus B side, it looked like the grain pattern determined the designation. Maybe,
Perhaps.
Maybe.
I mean, makes sense.
I mean, yeah, just depending on if there's a nicer grain pattern on one side than the other, I guess you could prefer to engrave that side, but it seems a little odd to give explicit instructions just for that. I don't know. I need to play with them more.
And Rose said A side is the hits and B side is the filler.
Nice. It's true.
Oh my god. What about you?
I've been starring through stuff. What were you saying, Matt? Sorry.
I was gonna say, have you been working on anything, Kyle, that you can talk about? Any
Yes.
purpose?
So, as we talked about last week with going through the corrections and calibrations on lasers, as you guys know, I have a lot of lasers here. I've made it through like 2/3 of them. That sheet is getting really filled out. My head hurts from going through everything.
Do you want to plug the sheet real quick? Should we plug the sheet?
Yeah, it's actually listed on the LMA. I'll pull it up. But what's been going on with that is I've just been I've been spending a lot of time kind of comparing similar sized lenses on different machines to kind of get a feel for differences in lens calibrations when taking a same lens and switching it to a different machine that's still designed for the same wavelength. So it's kind of interesting. Not really ready to discuss the findings on that yet because I'm still working on it, but it's been interesting. But I've landed on like 9 different lenses that I'm calibrating for all 4 of my fibers. And then between that sample size and Alex's and eventually Matt's, I'm probably going to be putting together a video about the importance of lens calibration and what carries over and what doesn't.
Nice.
Unless Alex beats me to it. Oh, Alex has it up.
Yep.
I'll make it big for a minute here. But yeah, pretty nifty. Interesting findings. And even if you only have a couple of lenses and you end up like expanding into a second machine at some point, or even if you don't, even if you just have one lens, it's helpful to just have that knowledge to know what's relevant and what's not when switching things around.
So this is available on the LMA. There's also something else that's new that's available on the LMA, which is the we're gonna start offering a. Oh, I don't need to be big anymore. We're gonna start offering a discount. It's 15% off coaching on the LMA, not because we think most people need coaching. We actually don't think most people need coaching. The reason we're giving the 15% is because if you sign up for the LMA and you don't get the help you need getting your laser set up and running and actually productive and making money, if you can't get to that point with your LMA membership and you need one-on-one help, the 15% basically pays for that LMA membership. So it's kind of like a risk-free trial, right? So if you don't get what you need from the LMA, you basically get your LMA money back in the form of a discount for one-on-one help, and we can help you get your coaching going. So just a new little thing that we're doing to try to show you guys that we have like a lot of resources available, and I don't think a lot of people know that they're there for you. So this is kind of our way to get you in front of more things. Yep.
I guess let's start smashing through a couple of questions here. So we have Rose says, because fiber laser vaporizes the metal, do the metal edges become rough? Don't know if I need to plan for a polisher as well. So depending on how deep you go, you can end up with a little bit of a sharp edge. And depending on how bad your timings start and end are, or start and off, or whatever you want to call it, depending on how bad those are and if you're using bidirectional or not, you can actually end up with almost like a sawtooth edge. So just as important as like kind of weighing all the rest of the options, you also want to make sure that you're getting your calibration in, getting set up, because that's going to save you a lot of hassle in the long run. I don't know if you guys have more to add on that.
Just so you guys know what Kyle's talking about, if we just want to expand on this really quick, here's your material, right? And if you plan on doing a lot of cutting on this material, your laser always comes from a central point. So here's your, F theta scan lens up here above your material. Your laser is always going to come out of this lens, okay? Always. So if you're cutting straight down, you're going to have this nice straight line, this nice straight edge through your material. But if you're cutting outwards at all, and you will be, you're going to be cutting an edge like this. And now you can see all of a sudden we're starting to like actually get like this blade type shape here with larger lenses or more drastic cuts. That blade gets sharper and sharper and sharper. And so it can definitely get sharp. And this isn't the only thing, but it's certainly the biggest thing. The other difference is like your metals, like softer metals are going to kind of re-weld themselves. Metals with a lower melting point, essentially, will kind of re-weld their edges. So they'll end up being a little smoother, but really hard, brittle metals, things like steel and aluminum, will keep their edges very well. And those can be extra sharp. So it's certainly, I don't think it's ridiculous to suggest that you might need some sort of polisher to take that edge off. Not everybody is working on precious metals all of the time. And because of the nature of F theta lenses, you're pretty much guaranteed, if you're cutting anything other than a dot straight down from the center. And remember, this is 3D, right? So this is a 3D shape that we're kind of representing in 2D here. So forward and backwards also counts. You're pretty much guaranteed to put an edge on this somehow, unless you're using a gantry laser. Because with a gantry laser, there is no angles. It's always coming straight down out of the nozzle, and the nozzle is moving around. So that's the big difference. And the number one factor is going to be that scan angle. So that'll be something that you want to keep an eye on for sure. And I don't think a polisher is a ridiculous suggestion.
Yeah. You can also, if you're doing something small enough, even like if you're doing coins or jewelry, vibratory tumblers are great for that too, for post processing. Alex actually did some shorts on that when we did a test coin not too long ago, a couple months ago.
We've had pretty good luck with it so far. It has not been perfect, and there's definitely some technique and art to it, but it's better than not having it for sure. And I think a big part of my slow picking up on it is me not taking the time to learn how to do it properly. So I am fairly certain that I can get better, even better results than I have showcased on the channel so far.
Before we dive into the next question, what have you been having going on, Anthony? Because we kind of skipped over you.
Oh, me? It's not a whole heck of a lot. Working on a couple videos, and working on some ways to improve future videos too. So I got a lav mic mailed to me
Fancy
from
boy.
Polyland. So this is pretty nifty. It's got noise cancellation, and I think it's like a 200-meter range, like something ridiculous, like 600 feet. So
All the distance.
yeah, it'll be all I need just to kind of move around the shop and still be able to pick up good sound. So
Would these videos that you're trying to make better be going on your YouTube channel?
absolutely, yeah. Yep, absolutely.
16 subscribers, guys. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed to Anthony's channel, you're going to go straight to jail. So make sure that you come here. It's this really long, obnoxious link that you need a custom URL, my friend.
I thought I had one, but
let me paste that in. Boom. All right. It's in chat. I'll make sure that it gets its way down into the description too. Go sub to Anthony. Anthony's been really focused for a while on kind of getting like his little YouTube kit, his little YouTube loadout ready to rock and roll. And he's a smart dude. He doesn't fuck around. So this is definitely something that you're going to want to be on the ground floor of when it takes off. Beam it up Laserworks, guys. Get after it.
appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
And another thing I have that just came in today is if I get this box open.
Ooh, John Uftring subbed. Bora already subbed. What's up? That's what we like to see.
That's what we like to hear.
I appreciate it.
We got Jerry in chat saying hello. What's up, man?
All right, so this just came in the mail today. So I'm
Live
gonna,
on.
this will be posted up in the laser room, and it's what is it? I can't remember the brand name, but yes, 20x zoom PTZ. Runs off HDMI network, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's going to get posted on the wall, and I'm going to do some rearranging, and I'll be able to record pretty much anything that's going on any one of the lasers from one position. So I'm pretty stoked about that, because I've had to like use my phone and like suction cup mounts and like telescoping tripods and all kinds of stuff. So
AV cans.
yes, AV cans. That's correct. Yep. Thank you.
If I can make a suggestion, don't be a complete idiot and drop it and break the autofocus.
I will try very hard not
I
to
feel
do
like
it.
that adds a nice hurdle that we have to go over every time we use it.
Yeah.
Just
What's
saying.
life without challenges?
Right, yeah.
That's why you're friends with us. We are very challenged.
Challenged.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to, just trying to make things a little bit better for quality of life, and I have a couple little projects in the works that will be coming out soon. So keep your eyes peeled, and thanks to everybody that subbed.
Nice.
We got Jacob saying, I just got a 20-watt Regas fiber. How do I even begin to understand the settings? I'm coming from the CO2 world.
I'm reopening Illustrator.
Well, Alex is doing that. So with a fiber laser versus a CO2, so a typical gantry CO2 is often going to be a glass tube, and that is a continuous wave laser source. So you're not dealing with frequency, you're just dealing with power and speed and line interval, basically, are your three big kind of culprits when it comes to your results. Your line interval directly correlates to what your laser can output for DPI. So that has to do with your beam size at focus. So if you basically overlap those lines, you can get a darker result but if you're doing an image, it obviously washes it out. Your fiber laser is going to have a much smaller dot size, which means you have a higher DPI level, which means you're capable of, more detail. And you can go into the guide that Alex did about photo engraving to learn more about kind of the science behind that.
Also, if you haven't, go watch the episode Everything You Need to Know About Galvo Lasers.
That too. And then the other factor is, so with fiber lasers, you have now frequency that you're dealing with. And at least in kind of like the entry-level engraving world, for galvo lasers, we're looking at pulsed lasers, not continuous wave. So essentially what that means is the laser essentially charges up a pulse, and it fires, and your frequency is measured in kilohertz. So that is thousands of pulses across seconds. So 1 kilohertz, for example, would be 1,000 pulses per second. 25 kilohertz or 30 kilohertz, which is usually kind of like that baseline where people start out, depending on the range that your laser is capable of. That's 25 to 30,000 pulses per second. Your power is essentially the charge behind each of those pulses. And the another thing that you are dealing with, but not necessarily dealing with, is pulse width, which is kind of complicated, but think of it as another level of dialing power in and out. For non-MOPA pulse width unlocked lasers, it's a passive thing. It's a locked value or a variable value that changes with your frequency and power level. For lasers that have it unlocked, essentially what it does is it changes the length of every pulse that occurs. So if you're set your frequency to 30 kilohertz, that's 30,000 pulses per second, but you could change your pulse width so that each pulse is longer or shorter. So Matt and Alex like to describe it using the hose method, right? So your frequency is how often you're unkinking a hose that's on to let a pulse of water out. The pulse width is how long you unkink it for to let water flow. So credit goes to those two guys for coming up with that, because I always go back to the hammer method, and it's great for frequency, but not great for pulse width in terms of, trying
I
to
always
describe
talk about it too as sandpaper. Sandpaper is the easiest way to remember it. So literally the low end is like low grit sandpaper. You're going to be ablating more material and taking it away. So you're going to see it going, because you're hitting, like he said, there's more pulses per hit, basically. So there's more power per hit, right? So less, more power,
longer
less
pulse
hits.
per
there
hit.
you go, yeah. And it's just smashing through. So it's like if you've got the low grit sandpaper and you're powering through, powering down, versus the high frequency where it would be like high grit sandpaper, where you've got way less grit, but it's the same thing that you're doing, like same process, same power, same speed, but you're going to be ablating less and treating it more. So you'd be doing more of like a treatment, I guess you could call it. And when you combine those two together, by the way, that's where you'll hear us say stuff like a cleanup pass. And that kind of goes back to the question of like the sharp edges and stuff like that. You can actually get rid of a lot of that abrasion and a lot of that sharpness on the where you've been engraving, like the bed of your engraving, by raising the frequency. You could pretty much keep speed and power almost the same, but by raising that frequency, it almost like from doing a low grit application to then a high grit gets rid of a lot of that mess. And then what we always try to suggest too is your angle. I think Anthony said he likes to do, was it 10 passes, 363 degrees, or 3 passes at 121 degrees to kind of.
Yeah, just kind of like keep it around a 360 so it goes all the way around, but not exactly, because if you do another round, then you can end up with some weird lines too, I've found.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it like, I don't know, I'm weird. I like prime numbers. So I try to run it with prime numbers, and it just never really adds up right. You know, end up with funky lines. So
yeah, And that's almost, if you guys know about wood engraving, it'd be like using an orbital sander. Like the whole thing is by having that move around, it gets rid of all of that. Those striations become more of like a pattern or less patterned and smooth. So there you go.
Your mom's a shredation.
Alex is working on
I will
his,
let her know that you said that on Mother's Day. I will actually
Yep.
engrave it on something, and then she can call you and discuss
That would be wonderful.
She'll express her disappointment, and you'll have to live with it.
You need another
Moving
minute
on to
there,
the
Alex.
next question.
Yeah, I'm just conceptualizing this to try to make it make sense to me
circle
before
back.
it makes sense to everybody else. But yes, circle back because I'm onto something and I think this is going to be helpful.
You're literally just making an Aeon laser sign, but anyways,
You're an Aeon laser sign.
Nailed it.
So John says, so with the market closed, is there a way to reach out to the vendors? I'm looking for some materials and wanted to buy from a marketplace vendor. Am I out of luck? No, you're not out of luck. The marketplace is obviously, getting work done and whatnot. So yeah, it's closed to the public for the moment. But if you want to reach out to a particular vendor, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of vendors actually also sell through other storefronts like Etsy, eBay. They might have their own actual website. So if you need help getting in contact with them or figuring out what their website is or their Etsy or whatever, if you know who they are or what you're looking for, shoot us an email and we'll help you get connected with them. Not a problem. Mike C. Any word if Light Object has anything new and exciting coming out? They're always working on something over there, which is good because we like to see, the market move forward with improvements and things get better for everyone across the board.
Last I heard, Marco is in between like major generations of his product line, and he's actively working to kind of solidify his lineup for that. So because I don't know if you guys know this, but Marco designs all of his own machines, like with his hands,
from the ground up
on paper. Yeah. So I haven't heard any news about it lately, but that doesn't mean that it isn't being worked on because like Kyle said, they're always up to something over there. And I know that their current stock is in and out because Marco doesn't want to buy a bunch of machines right before they move to like the next major revision. So definitely something if you're in the market and you don't need something right now, something to definitely keep your eyes pointed in that direction. And I'll try to get some more info on that as we kind of move along here.
He says, hi all, big week. Laser wise, I have a 100-watt Haoshin JPT M7 fiber that I just unboxed.
Congratulations.
But second kid also arrives on Thursday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, brains everywhere.
Oh my
That
God.
is a lot going on, man.
Wow.
You got a new toy, tool, and you also have a second kid coming. That's a lot going on.
Yeah, congrats, man, on both of those.
Yep. Wish you the best for Thursday and also your upcoming weekend, and hope the wife is doing good and hanging in there, and wish you guys the best, and everything goes well and healthy.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's busy.
I'm just sitting here like I'd be excited for both, but like scared to death of one. I mean, just that's because I already have too many.
Scott says, glad to be here for the start. Adding the live stream to my work calendar. Total works. Yeah, there you go. And I see you have a couple questions down below. We're working toward it, Scott. We're getting there. Laura says, I have some suede type leatherette and just can't figure out how to get the fiber to mark on it.
Ooh.
They're jewelry pouches.
Hold on. I meant to. All right. Wait a minute. Do I have those?
Well, Matt's looking.
Yes.
I have a question for you, Laura. What's the top color and what's the color underneath? Because sometimes there's leatherette can be like a metallic base underneath and then like a black padding behind it.
It's like a poly. I got the same one because I saw her post and I was like, "Ooh, those are cool."
All right, you whip it out, big boy. Find it. Oh, there goes Alex.
No, that was
There
me.
goes Matt.
I ran away.
So yeah, we'll get that info. We'll work through it. But Leatherette can be challenging. So the thing with Leatherette, phrasing exactly, keeps the mind working, keeps everybody paying attention, right? So if you're having fun, smash that like button.
Smash the like
Leatherette,
button for my beautiful artwork.
that
I'm
too.
making.
That too. We love beautiful artwork. John says Anthony's facial expression made me lol. So Leatherette can be challenging. So the reason why is you, depending on what it is, so you can have multiple layers in a Leatherette product. You can have basically, for lack of a better way to describe it, you have like a top layer. That's your brown, your red, your black, your the raw leather look color, whatever. And then below that, sometimes there's like an intermediary, like metallic, which is your gold or your silver. There's a couple of different varieties there, but it just gives you like a metallic. And then typically there's your base like polyurethane padding, which gives you your heft to the leatherette, and that's typically black. Oh, I think Matt found it.
I did.
He's waving it around like he just doesn't care.
I whipped it out. Excuse me while I whip this out.
Phrasing.
Whip.
While I whip.
So the trick is, depending on the type of leatherette, you obviously want to burn the top off, but you don't want to go so crazy that you're basically lighting the thing on fire. So generally between brands, I found settings carry over pretty well. And generally between types, it can kind of vary. And by type, I mean, does it have a metallic, or are you just going from top layer to black? And oftentimes there's very small differences between like top colors. So if it's like a black with like a silver behind it, like the metallic silver, and a black with like the gold behind it kind of thing, usually the settings are going to be pretty close, versus like that with like a raw leather looking leatherette with black behind it is going to be entirely different, as an example.
I also suggest using a 300 or a 200 or something higher than a 200, because it basically is less power hitting it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it just, the larger dot lets you do a better spread of power over the surface that you're hitting it with from the higher surface, right? So,
yep.
I did 15 or 20 patches the other day. And I think Miranda, I sent her videos. I think she might be using it, but they take about 10 seconds on the 300 to hit the black leatherette with the silver and gold underneath. And it's the same settings pretty much all around. Yeah. But I did see these. Laura has a really cool group, by the way. If you haven't joined her group, it's Laser of Love Creations group on Facebook. And she actually makes some really great posts in there about, it's just her username on YouTube. But she makes really great posts. And this was for if you were going to be doing something just to up your game, like if you were doing something with jewelry or coins or anything that you want to just make something nice to put it in. And I thought it was really cool. So I'll test that out while we're sitting here.
Yeah. And Michael from ET Laserworks actually brought up something that's important to note. Leather and leatherette as well, but leatherette has a particular smell to it that doesn't always bother everyone, but will absolutely bother some people a lot. And I'm one of those people that I'm particularly sensitive to the smell it gives off, but my girlfriend doesn't even notice it. And it's just one of those things. Just make sure your ventilation is good with anything you engrave, but this in particular, if you're sensitive to it, maybe consider building yourself a little box enclosure with wood or something to kind of try and keep the fumes focused to the exhaust to funnel that out. And leather in particular just stinks. Real leather, not leatherette.
Very much so, yeah. So much so that I invested in a 875 cubic feet per minute fan after doing all those leather patches. And that was with the UV, which actually, because of the way the UV works, it doesn't quite make as much stink as, say, like fiber or CO2 or diode, but it still was pretty bad. So,
yeah, I still have footage from when I did this guy. Not last winter, but the winter before. I don't think that video ever came out, but I have the footage. So if we don't have a Leatherette video done, there's a Projectmark video in the wings that we can do, and I can follow that up. Alex also did testing on two kinds of Leatherettes, Alex?
Yeah, it's the one Leatherette. It's the Saddle collection from Johnson Plastics Plus, and they had a brown.
It was a gray and a brown, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a gray top layer and a brown top layer with black underneath each of them, which those came out pretty cool. So he'll have testing on those across his different laser types to kind of draw a comparison there as well. Because it's burning flesh. True.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Rose also says, make sure it's veg tan leather. Heavy metal tan leather is bad burned. It's chromium is usually the major culprit there. We actually had an interesting talk about that with Justin Laser, who does a lot of leather stuff. Like that's kind of his niche. So if you want to hear us talk more about that, check out that podcast episode. That was
great
killer.
episode. Great
yeah,
episode.
Learned a lot on that one. And now we have Alex and Matt working on troubleshooting.
Well, and by the way, with leather, the CO2 Galvo, I took some videos of it, but it's like chef's kiss with the CO2 Galvo. Like I know the UV has no cleanup. Like there's nothing. I got the CO2 Galvo, and we did it on the live a couple of weeks ago too, where we were doing some. I did Evelyn's book marks or whatever, and they literally I was able to cut one out, and there was almost no char on the edges, which on a cut is pretty impressive. But on the surface level, I got the settings down to where there's like nothing. It just you can touch it, and there's nothing too. So really, really cool, really, really fast. But it does. The smell, if you don't have some type of extraction to an external, it's rough.
Yeah. I've had customers walk in the shop and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like,
my wife usually knows like the smell of cups, and she knows the smell of acrylic by now. And
I swear I didn't fart.
No, it wasn't fart. She was like, "Is something dead?"
Right?
Like, yes, the cow that I'm burning.
Yep.
It's like Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
Oh my God.
All right,
question for Alex. Well, Alex is working on his project over there.
I can multitask. What's up?
You're better at it than I am, bud. Lori says, Alex, did you try lasering out of focus on that wood?
Oh, yeah, I did. It doesn't brown very well either because it's ply. So it's not like you can get a consistent dark mark on it. I think definitely going lightly and trying to get more of like the lighter effect is going to be the way to go.
And also it wasn't like painted, it was like actually like soaked through with the stuff,
like stain.
That was the other part. It was, I mean, it's like even from the side, because normally on like stuff that you see that's dyed or whatever, it's like the top is one color, the bottom's a color, maybe some of the edge is like splattered over. This is like, it's like they, like Alex said, like they pushed it down into the dye or something.
Another thing to consider, and part of leading into what we were talking about before, where you got really good results with the diode for the same reason. Diodes are really good with like what's it called? Oh my God, panda wood. What am I thinking of?
Panda wood.
Yeah.
What?
I said panda wood because I couldn't think of oh my God.
Olive
My brain
wood?
is not working. No.
Bamboo.
No. Bamboo.
Panda wood. Oh,
My,
yeah,
my
that
brain
sounds-
is not working tonight.
It's all right. That's me every day.
Yeah.
The caffeine swings are killing me. For the same reason too, that bamboo does really good on diode, and you can't get that same type of burn on a CO2. I think is the reason why plywood is or that type of ply also is a little challenging. I don't think it's a product issue. Yes, panda wood. My brain doesn't work. Leave me alone.
Panda wood.
Mickey Burr says, is there a way to use Lightburn files on EasyCAD and vice versa? Not directly, but I do have a video on that, actually. We did a video on converting EasyCAD files to Lightburn. It's much easier the other way around. Lightburn to EasyCAD, you can just highlight your project, go up to File, Export, and you can export that as an AI8 file that's ready for EasyCAD, basically. Like 2 steps and you're done. EasyCAD back to Lightburn. Once it's in EasyCAD, they never designed it to be able to be exported. You can just save it as an EasyCAD project and that's it. But there's a really cool open source software out there called Meerkat. He's got it's a whole different thing. But go check out that video. It'll describe what you have to do. I will see if I can pull up a link here for you real quick.
Okay, I found out what I was doing wrong.
Ruh-roh.
I finished my graphic.
All right.
And the thing that you need to consider there, when you're going from Lightburn to EasyCAD, Lightburn as a project saves your parameters as part of the project. When you export it or use just the vectors, like if you export like the SVG or DXF or AI8, you're just getting the objects, like the actual design, not the layers. And EasyCAD, and that's the other reason why EasyCAD and Lightburn files are nowhere near compatible, is because they store the parameters differently for the project. But
Hi, Laura.
whatever, they're different languages essentially. Think of it that way. Matt did a thing.
Look at me. Look at me.
He lowered his coin purse.
Yeah, there you go. So that worked pretty good. I don't know if Laura's still here. I think she is.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so hi, Laura. I got the settings for you. Just so you know, anybody who's trying to figure out what to do, I used my settings on my 300 lens, and I can tell you right now, like just looking at the back of this, you can already see that even with those settings, yeah. So this might be, that was with a 1-pass setting. This, because I see this on the back, I would definitely hit this with maybe like 2 or 3 passes of, like, I would take the settings I just found and modify them to have less power, and maybe hit them unidirectional from like 3 different angles, would be my suggestion. So all I did is I started with my normal settings for, let me see if I can share my screen here. Probably be better if you're a visual person. Let's see. This guy. Here we go. Oop, thanks. So over here, I don't know if you guys can see it because I don't think I can zoom in on this one. This is why I need to do OBS. But basically, I had 1,000 speed, 22 power, and 0.05 interval. You want to spread out the interval on these leatherettes, these fake leathers, because basically they get melty. Like if they are polyurethane, which is what leatherette and the saddle thing, all those are.
They can straight up ignite too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very flammable if you let them be. So a higher line interval I've found has helped. So that could be something that I mess with if I wanted to try it, because it's suede. It's a little softer and less dense. That might be something I look at. But what I did was I took it from 1,000 and I figured, okay, if it's 1,000 millimeters per second with black, I probably cut it in half for brown. Then I went from there. Brown didn't really, or the 500 didn't really do much, so I cut it in half again to 250. and I started to get like this one, which is like and I know you guys can't see it great, but it was like it was pretty good but splotchy, and then I just dropped it to 200. And so when I did 200 speed, 22 power, and the frequency is 300, by the way. So like it's a very high frequency. But the one thing I can tell you is this is very melted when I'm touching it. So if I was going to do anything, like I said, I might keep the speed, drop the power a little bit, change the line interval. But that's how you figure this stuff out. And the more you do it, the more you learn, right? And that's kind of what Alex is working on. So for me, dropping the speed but keeping the power, because I know that power from that distance and that focal distance is effective. So let me lower the speed to see kind of what range I need to be in. And from there, I can tweak. The frequency for me at 300 is super high. So I'm probably going to have a difficulty going much higher. So for me, that means I'm probably going to lower the speed. Lower the power some. And then coming at it from 2 or 3 different angles is going to basically, if you hit it from the same angle 2 or 3 times, it's kind of like combing hair. It's going to look the same, but if you throw a little cross action there, you get a little different vibe to it. And so that helps you kind of get those grains, especially on something that has like that long grain to it. It's the best I can explain it. But yeah, and my guess would be the fact that we had to lower everything on the speed end is because of the lightness of it. It's very, very light. And so if you have the other ones that came in that bag were tan and pink, it's probably going to be even more different. So there you go.
Yeah, pink especially, I'd imagine.
Sorry, had my compressor on.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
So
Right,
yeah.
anybody
for
who
some
messes
school.
with that pretty good.
Yep.
And then there was another question too about files. Are we on that one?
No. Alex is going to talk about the thing he's working on. We'll keep pushing when he's done.
Yeah.
Here you go, Alex.
All right.
You got the floor.
Here we go. So if you know photography, you know the exposure triangle. It's ISO, which is the sensitivity of the film, and you have the shutter speed, which is how fast the shutter moves past the film to expose it to light, and you have your aperture, which is how open or closed the blades of the iris of your lens are, and the 3 of those things balance one another out to give you the exposure time for your film. Laser is very similar. We're just balancing 3 different things. So we have the percent, and this is the percentage of your maximum wattage that your laser is capable of. So when you set your laser to 70% on a 60 watt laser, you are using 70% of 60 watts. Okay, and I picked bad numbers, so I can't do the math on the spot, but that's what your percent power is. The next thing you have is millimeters per second. This is the apparent speed of the Galvo scan head scanning across your substrate, and it's in millimeters. So how many millimeters is it traveling every second? And then over here you have your frequency. This is how many pulses we're doing per second. It's in hertz, so hertz is how many times something happens per second, and it's kilohertz, so we're measuring thousands. Okay, so these are the 3 main things. We're not going to talk about pulse duration right now. If you want to learn more about pulse duration, you can go watch everything you need to know about Galvo lasers. We touch on it a little bit more there. But to decipher this basic triangle here, it's pretty simple. I'm going to do one in full color later because I think 3 mixing colors will make more sense than like this grayscale. But imagine each point on the triangle is the height of that value. Okay, so let's start at the top. At the top, we have millimeters per second. So this point is the maximum speed. And then as we move down the triangle, the speed is getting slower and slower. Okay, same thing with the kilohertz. This is our highest frequency that we can achieve with our laser. And as we move this way across the triangle, our frequency is lowering, lower and lower. And then we've got the power over here, the percentage. Max point is here at the tip. And as we move across the triangle, we're getting lower and lower power. So that leaves us with what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major points on this triangle, 7 if you include the center, where we're going to see different kind of effective uses for our laser. And we're going to go through and label them one by one. So Right here, this first dot, bottom left corner, guys, this is obviously very high percentage power. Okay, so that one's obvious, but in order to decipher these two, we have to look a little bit closer. So here we've got millimeters per second, and we are all the way at the bottom. Okay, so this is really high power, really low speed. And then same thing on the frequency here, guys, kilohertz, and we're going to come all the way across until we're in line on that field, right? So you can kind of picture like I'm dividing it this way as we move across that. So really we're in line with the lowest point on frequency. And so a low frequency with a low speed and a high power, right? That's on this axis here, is going to be our darkest mark. We cannot get hotter than this. That's a very, very hot combination. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this to red. Okay, we're cooking there. So again, that's high power. That's this way. Let me get a line really quick because I know this can look a little confusing. So I just want to kind of show you how we're supposed to be reading the triangle. Okay, so let's color this something not obnoxious, and we're just going to rotate this. So when we're reading the percentage, guys, we're reading along this axis here, right? So you can see these two are actually in line with one another on the percentage axis, and then these three are in line with one another on the percentage axis. So this is like a high power, medium power, low power, okay? And then if we rotate this and we're reading along this axis, axis number 2, we've got a high speed, a medium speed, okay, and a low speed. And then same thing for our frequency one. So we've got a high frequency, a medium frequency, and a low frequency. Okay, so that's kind of how you have to look at it. It can take a little while for you to kind of get used to reading a kind of triangle graph like that. It's definitely a weird way to do it, but it's important. So our next point, millimeters per second here. Okay, so at a very high millimeters per second is a very high speed. Okay, and then we're going to take a look at our next axis, which is power. So where is this falling on power? This is high, medium, and low. So high speed, low power. And then where are we on frequency? We've got high frequency, medium frequency, and low frequency. And this is kind of giving us like a medium gray. Notice it's not white. We don't have like white anywhere on this triangle. It's a light gray. So this is probably along the lines of like one of the cooler marks that we can get. So this one we can give something neutral, maybe like a green. That looks good. Okay. And then our third point over here. So we've got a very high frequency. Okay, very high frequency. And then where is this on power? So let's take a look. High, medium, and low. So this is a low power, high frequency. And then for speed, high speed, medium speed, low speed. So same thing here. This is going to give us a very kind of mild mark, maybe a medium mark. So we'll color this one in with our green. Now, notice we're kind of making a trade-off here, right? One's got high frequency and low power, and one's got high speed and low power with the other value maxed out. So you can use these to balance one another. We can actually balance these values between each other by raising them up and down. We've got 3 more points on our triangle here, and I know it looks weird because we've got 2 in the dark and 1 in the light, but think about this. The triangle is going to balance itself out. Here we've got 1 dark and 2 light. So it will make sense as we kind of move through this. So this point here, guys, we've got a very slow speed. We're at the bottom of the speed. Okay. As far as frequency goes, we are at a medium frequency. And as far as power goes, we're at a medium power. So with a really low speed and a medium power and medium frequency, we're getting a kind of, this is like the most medium mark that we've seen so far. So we'll go ahead and we can color this one like, I don't know, like somewhere between the green and the red. This is not, let's make this darker. just for visual clarity. There we go. This piece up here, we've got a very low frequency with a medium power and a medium speed, right? This is the medium speed here. This one, medium % power. This one is going to match, right? So in this case, we're just making the trade-off again. So we'll select that and color that one. And then this one, we've got a very low power with a medium frequency and a medium speed. And this is probably going to be the lightest one that we're going to see on this triangle. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that white for now. Now you can get a lighter mark than this, but it's kind of out of the realm of what the parameters of the triangle graph will allow us to do. But hopefully you guys can see this. Maybe I can even like
it's great for representational purposes in the sense that once you understand the concepts here, you can take this and the concepts and apply it for fine-tuning your marks. Outside of the triangle, so to speak.
Right. You shouldn't be looking at the triangle. But if this would give you, I can't redo that. That sucks. This will give you just kind of like the most basic idea of what is going on. And if you can read this, if I did a good enough job explaining what the hell is actually going on here, can I please just select the words and make them face the right way? This is already confusing enough without the words all jumbled. There we go. Frequency, speed, and power. I like this a little better. This makes a little more sense. So with the really high power, we have the darkest mark. With the really low power, we have the lightest mark. And then we've got our kind of like variance in between. If I explain this well enough, you should be able to read the triangle. Take a screenshot. This exposure, as we'll call it, will be really, really helpful for you, especially if you're working with new materials and you're trying to figure out which direction you need to go to get what you need. If you are getting a really dark mark, you can look at the triangle and say, okay, in order to reduce this dark mark, I can lower my power, or I can raise my frequency, right? So for here, we can raise our frequency. That's going to lighten up our energy, or we can raise our speed. Any of those three things will get us to a lighter section of the triangle. Whether you're here, here, or here depends on which one you choose to change. But it gives you options. You can see your options kind of physically on the paper in front of you. And that's why I really like the exposure triangle. Eventually, you won't have to look at this anymore. You'll say, oh, that's a little dark. I need to raise my frequency. I'm going to raise my frequency to try to get this a little lighter. Or, oh, this is way too light. I'm going to lower my speed. And you'll be able to do it without looking at this. But this just graphic right here, I think, is insanely powerful. And I wanted to make sure that I get it right. And I'm going to make a better version of it, like I said, with like 3 colors for each point instead of the grayscale, because I think the grayscale makes it more confusing than it has to be. But
I was going to say in the future too, like as you have greater power, you have to have greater responsibility.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, there it is, guys. Hopefully that helped.
C. Barron says, awesome presentation. The segment should be posted on the LMA. Great school sesh. I agree. I think this is a great educational
I
tool.
can show you exactly what Alex was talking about, because while you were talking about it, I did it on this little thingamajig here. So literally what he was talking about, like you see as it, oh wait, there you go. It literally just starts to burn. So literally just changing line interval and changing percentage and like that kind of stuff. You can see where we had our really nice. So I did what Alex talked about and I made it like nice. And so that's where it would look really nice if that said like for mom. But then what I did was just change the frequency a little bit and it got darker. But when you look at it, it's burned. And then it actually started to burn through. And then it caught fire, but nobody saw that. So it's okay. But anyway, but that's what happens just by changing those small things and just literally like going from 0.08 to 0.0. So this was 0.08 or sorry, .08 was up here. Then I did .06, which is where we were. Then .04, then .02, and .01. So just changing line interval alone too, keeping everything else the same. Like there's so many things that can do that.
Yeah,
And
and I'm glad you mentioned line interval, because this doesn't take line interval or pulse duration, for that matter, or a bunch of other things into account. That everything affects how much energy you're putting down onto the substrate. That's what lasers is all about. How much energy are we putting down onto our substrate, and in what amount of time? And everything that we do affects that. Every single thing that we can change on our laser will affect that one way or another, from changing your lenses to changing your line interval to changing your pulse duration, et cetera, but none of them will ever have as big of an effect as these three things.
Right.
So if you can get these three things down, everything else, like, you can figure out later. You can make small adjustments. You can swap out a lens. All of that stuff can come later. These three things are going to have the biggest impact on how much energy you are laying out on that substrate in a given amount of time. So again, grab a screenshot. Yeah, maybe I'll do something for this on the LMA. I see the comments rolling in on there. I think I could explain this a lot better, not on an impromptu podcast with like a script written. If I take some time to actually get my thoughts out on paper and I'm not making a graphic at the last minute. But this is one of the most important things I think you could learn from me ever. So try to digest it. If you have questions, catch me later, bother me somewhere, and I'll help you out. But
Catch me outside.
John says, "Hey folks, if you're getting value from this, smash the like button now, please."
Smishity smash.
I agree.
Smiggity
Yes,
smash.
Laura, that was on
Smash the
300
like
lens for
button
Matt.
like I'm gonna smash that girl from Fallout. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my god. So we got a couple more questions. We'll smash through them real quick. Scott says
he couldn't help himself. He didn't have anywhere to turn. He had to
No,
say
I didn't.
it.
He backed me into a corner. Scott says, I have a question. I've made several project files for me, but what I would like, but what would need to be done to turn them into digitally sellable files? Any example or tips to make sure they are good? Also, is there anything you can do to actually protect those files against being stolen or sold for less? I see some on Etsy saying they're okay for making 100 and then you have to purchase it again. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
By the way, they had a huge, great conversation in the chat all about that because Rose Kindred gave some awesome information. But let me share my screen again real quick, because this is a file that was purchased by a client. And they're like, I got this laser ready file. This is what they sent me. And I was like, that's great. Do you have this in an SVG? And they're like, that is an SVG. And I was like, cool. And so this is where people who work inside of AI, which is Adobe Illustrator, don't understand the way things might translate to a laser software controller. And so this is where you, if you're going to design them, need to take whatever you create there and bring it into 2 or 3 different types of controlling softwares would be my major suggestion. Because the layers that you do there, test it. Because here's what ended up happening. So I clicked this as it came in and I was like, oh boy. And then just by removing this, because they created a white, so in Adobe Illustrator, they created a white blank surface, but that white blank surface in Adobe Illustrator comes out as a black laserable surface here. So when you delete that, you're like, oh, there's information and scales and stuff here. And there's this stuff here, and then there's all these things, and there's this. And so you start kind of going through the file, and I could actually see what it was that I had to laser, but I still had to come in here and do all this stuff. And then that's, so you're going through and you're like, okay. And then I still have to come out here and I like see if there's anything on the outcrop. Then that's when you have to start zooming in to get the last remaining pieces. Because see, that's actually a layered bit. And so this is the prepared file that they sent me, and they didn't understand why I wanted to charge them an art fee because I was like, well, and so this is supposed to be blank, so I can't do that. I had to come in here and make this like a second layer, so that stayed there. just so I remembered. Then I came in here and deleted this. And so this is an art, again, if you're just tuning in, this is a ready file that I had to do this for. And so what's really cool is this is real time showing you guys how to do this.
This definitely 100% started as a DXF.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And that's the thing. And so this is something that's made, and you can see, like, this is something that was made not for a laser.
I bet those corners come apart.
You'll see this a lot too with technical
there's
drawings as well.
But wait, there's more. And so here's the deal. Now you think, oh, wow, I'm done. I did it. But if you look right there, you're like, hey, what's this?
Yep.
And then as you do this, you start to, oh shit. Right?
DXFs are garbage.
So now what you have to do is find where those two intersect. And I have to sit there and I combine those two and I look and see. But then as you go through, you're like, okay, that's pretty good. But then the problem is the laser will literally stop firing there. And so what happened is I was getting flashbacks and stuff on the things that I was creating. And I'm like, what is this? And so you literally have to sit there and you can go through. But what ends up happening is now I have to do like node editing and I'd have to sit there and connect those two.
The dots, yeah.
Or I can sit there and hit control and shift. And even then I'm so close that actually modifies that shift of like 0.01. That's how much we're moving. And it goes way over. So you have to sit there and do that. So then, and I sat there and did this. And then what's interesting too is here, you notice really quickly, like, oh, wait, there's a line on top of a line here. So as you zoom in, there's actually a second line that if you delete it, it didn't even modify. Like, you see what I'm saying? So for anybody who gets like, oh, it's a ready file, go through and check because there was another one right here. You can see it right here, like right on the edge. It's like just.
So is this person asking about selling files?
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I was trying to show people really quick. This, if you were going to market it as a ready to go file, that's the kind of thing that you drew in AI and thought it's ready. It's going to make $1 million. People are going to rip that thing apart in your comment section, because I would go back and be like, this guy that I paid $10 for this file, I had to pay $50 for them to clean it up, and I'd be mad, right? So, anyways, that was still a quick job, but he had 5 of those that he had purchased from someone, and so if I really wanted to be a jerk, I could sit there and charge the guy a fee for each one. Technically, but what I did is just kind of did a combined fee and said, listen, they weren't ready. I can show you everything I did. Yeah, because these are things that they're selling to really high-end, a really high-end market, and you really can't have errors like were coming up on the product. So just heads up.
Testing your files is really good advice.
Yeah.
Like actually cutting them on different laser softwares. Do it on like Lightburn, run it through EasyCAD, run it through RDWorks.
RDWorks is a great one.
Yeah. Try to cut it on as many things as you possibly can so that you get the user experience. But here's my advice. I'm not in the laser file selling business, but I've seen the people that are really, really successful at it. And the people that are really, really successful at it are not selling files. They're selling support. They are there to help people when people need help utilizing those files and finding success through their use. So if you sell the file and you're like, peace out, my job is done, don't talk to me, I don't think you're going to make it very far. People need more than just buying the file when they buy the file, and they know that. They might not know that they know that, but they know that, and you need to know that as a seller. And so my advice is be available and provide as much support for the people that are buying your files as possible. I know that kind of seems counterintuitive because you're like, I want to sell files so I can just put them up and I don't have to do anything. But guess what? Everybody makes files now, and it's not that easy anymore. You're not the only person, and there are other people in the market selling exactly what you're selling that are providing support. So if you want to be successful selling laser files, be prepared to help the people you are selling to. That's my advice.
2 more things that just popped up. Madly Crafty said, always check mine on Lightburn and Glowforge. Yeah, think about Lightburn,
Smart.
Glowforge, Xtool. Think about your major
yes.
groups and then literally tag them as Xtool ready, Glowforge ready. And Miranda's piece of advice was price accordingly. So like if you're going to do all that extra work and do all that thing, it's okay to make it like an extra $1 or $2, per file. I think.
Yeah. The sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so that's it. So
Okay.
test your files. And then the other thing is send them, like if you have a couple of people, like these guys are people who I talk to often, I would be like, hey, Anthony, can you see if this cuts right? Hey, Kyle, because I know that they each have different lasers than me. Hey, test this out. Tell me if it's garbage. Let me know if there's sub layers that are trash. Like, what? So,
I'm going to let the cat out of the bag now. So it's funny you mentioned that because I actually just sent something to Anthony today to test that I wasn't going to talk about. But digital file design has been something I've been digging into lately for selling personally, like outside of this, but just as my own little side thing that I like to mess with. And basically everything the guys have said so far is 100% what I would say too. The only thing I would add to that, because you do have a lot of points in your question. Testing is important. The design aspect is important. The support end of it is important, because the other thing you can do is look on the market and see what other people are already offering. Everyone offers stuff for sale in terms of like digital artwork and everything, but a lot of them are charging $5, $10, $15, $20 for something and then putting right on the listing, not for beginners or, whatever. Like they just want to get rid of the file and not offer support. At least, make a video showing how to use it, right? You don't have to give the file away. You can sell the file, but show people how to use it. So at least they understand what they're getting into. There's nothing worse than selling something to somebody and then they just sit there like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Because people don't start out as experts at anything. You might be a natural at something, but you don't start out as a pro.
Right.
You have to learn. And sometimes that takes asking questions. Does that mean you have to run a community to support them? Not necessarily, but at least answer their questions in whatever marketplace you're selling it on. So just those are the kind of factors I would look at. Compare what's going on out there and the things that you can see in terms of improvements to be made to make the customer experience better. Those are the things I would suggest doing. And those are kind of the things that I'm working on doing as well.
Yep. And ET said he had 23 sales on Etsy just today. Congrats, dude. That's awesome. But that's because they're tested. And Rose said, if there's no demo pictures, if there's nothing showing me what that thing looks like put together and like where I can see it from a couple different angles to at least, like Kyle said, I should be able to at least look at something and be like, oh, those tabs go there. And okay. All right. Okay. That's like a no-brainer. A lot of times too, people have like README files in the thing that you buy from Etsy that says like, read this once you have created or whatever. And it kind of is a guide. It's almost like an IKEA guide. That was actually super helpful because I had made something for my daughter's dollhouse when she was younger. And I was like, how the hell do I put this together? And then I was like, I wonder if I should click the README. And then it was like, read this first. And I was like, yeah.
I saw Rose earlier had mentioned Daryl Aspen. That laser dude. We actually did an excellent podcast episode with him where we talked all about this for a whole hour. So if you want to follow up on this and learn more about kind of the stuff that we're saying and the points that we're bringing up, Daryl's all over it. He's the king of selling files online. He is the master. So go learn from him. Go listen to that episode. It's probably like 30 or 40 episodes now. I've been doing this show forever. But it's a really, really, really good one. So I'd go check that out. In fact, I think the episode is called The King of Laser Files. So
Yep. That dude with a laser. Anyways, so the only other thing, this part of the question We're not IP specialists, intellectual property specialists by any means. So if
I
you
am.
plan
Speak for
on,
yourself.
if you,
I'm
yeah,
a triangle specialist.
you will see a lot of people on Etsy who just, they get their hands on a bunch of files that other sellers are selling. They put them in a master thing and then repost them for sale so they can, get their money back or whatever. And that is straight up like they're stealing. And that's not okay. Do some of them get away with it for a little while? Do they get money out of it before it gets, held by Etsy and yeeted out the window? Yeah, they'll probably get some money out of it, but they're also going to get life bans off of Etsy for that bank account and wherever they're sending their money. So, do I recommend doing that? No. Please don't steal from people who put in the time and effort to make digital files. That ruins it for everybody else. You make talented people not want to sell their stuff. But you'll also notice that a lot of those files are crap. So they picked up crappy files and they're reselling them and they're still crappy. And a lot of them don't even make effort to make improvements or change anything.
Low hanging fruit.
Yep.
And in terms of the making 100 and then you have to purchase it again thing, that has to do with licensing. So if you look at something like design bundles, which we have a link for on our website, they have a commercial license built into all the sales that they do. And then they also have an add-on for doing like print on demand services. So if you want to buy the design and then send it to somebody else to be made, you can pay an extra licensing fee so that you don't have to worry about infringing licenses. It's a quantity thing. You see the same thing a lot in like music deals and stuff like that. You can play this song X amount of times at this price. If you exceed this, you have to renew the license or whatever. Like
I don't want to get into like a crazy tangent about this because we're like way over time, but
yeah,
like I wouldn't worry too much about licensing, honestly. I mean, like pick a license and state it that way. If someone sells 800 million of your files and you do decide to take them to court over it, you're covered because you had a license agreement for it. But I don't waste a ton of time because unless you're actually willing to spend the amount of money it's going to take them to court, like you're probably just spending a lot of time worrying about that to circumvent an issue that you're not really going to be able to mitigate because you don't have the power to mitigate it. Honestly, I would spend that time and that energy personally trying to provide better resources for the people that are buying my file rather than like trying to hunt down people that are stealing it and reselling it because they're racing to the bottom. They're going to get caught, whether it's for stealing your stuff or somebody else's stuff. Like it's what goes around is going to come around to them at some point, whether or not you're wasting your time and energy on it. And I personally think that time would be better spent just focusing on what you're trying to do and making your service and your product better for your customers. But again, it's something definitely to consider because if you don't have anything and then someone sells again like $800 million worth of your thing on the off chance that happens, then you don't have any coverage. So there's a middle road to walk there, but I wouldn't get super hyped on that just because I think there's better ways to spend your time.
Yeah, that was actually Rose's advice. She basically was saying the only thing you can do is basically send like the DWIC or whatever.
Yeah.
WDIC, and then and even then it's like, what are you gonna do? Because they'll just start a new account and be like, oh look, I'm different.
Yeah. Well, then they need a new bank account. But anyways, are there any tricks for CO2 galvo and glass? A lot of time, a lot of testing, and low expectations.
Dude, I have read it like 80 times, and in my most recent lens filling out my sheet that you can get from the LMA, I've re-seen it and reread it again that my RF tube my coherent diamond RF tube inside of my CO2 Galvo is capable of continuous wave. And that should do well with glass, but I still don't know how to do it. So yeah, low expectations.
Your results are going to vary. It's not going to look the same as a CO2 gantry with a glass tube, or for that matter, a Galvo with a glass tube, but that's kind of rare.
It's not even close.
It's just going to be different. It's certainly not going to look like a UV, which is by far the cleanest option for glass.
Someone shook their dandruffy head all over your glass, but it doesn't wipe away. That's kind of what it looks like.
And it might be sharp.
Microfractured dandruff.
I honestly, I'd recommend, like, at that point, if you only have a CO2 Galvo and you don't have any other laser, spend $400 and get a diode and ask Anthony how to engrave glass with a diode, because Anthony gets really good results with diodes.
It does all right.
Shut up.
Solid.
All right, guys, that's it. I'm cutting it off. We're at almost, you guys got a 90-minute episode out of us today, mostly because of triangles. So all hail the triangle. Robotron 64. Go look it up. It's a great game. You can play
Trinity
Robotron.
Of power over there.
Robotron 2084 is on the Atari 7800 out now. Affiliate link in the description. No, I'm just kidding. But there is an affiliate link to Johnson Plastics Plus, our sponsor for this episode. So if you need some supplies for your laser and you're looking for a big selection of things like 2-ply acrylic, they've got Romark, they've got magnet stuff. You can get black boards, white boards, gray boards. You can get...
By the way, I was going to say it's award season. If you haven't started talking to local schools near you, dude, talk to them. They're like desperate for stuff. I just got some glass awards and some color sublimatable stuff because I got a sublimation machine. But anyways, I know.
That was also the time for Mother's Day stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess mom too.
Sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like that ship has
the lady
sailed.
who had me.
Well, it's closing up, but thankfully they have fast shipping.
They do, and they've got all kinds of other stuff. Go watch my episode. I just published it where we unbox a bunch of their stuff. It's really pretty, and we got a bunch of episodes coming out where we can test that. If you haven't already, go sub to Anthony's channel, Beam It Up Laser Works. It's pretty dope. He's been really committed to getting himself set up right, and you're going to start seeing some stuff come from him really soon. So that's going to be a good time. Go follow Anthony. And Joey Williamson in chat. You need to check your power supply, bro. Go watch my episode called Testing Power Supplies. Just type testing, PSU testing, fiber laser everything. It'll come up.
Your switches too.
Watch that. Yeah, maybe it could be a switch issue. I bet it's the power supply. So go look at that. Absorb the triangle, guys. And I think that's it. If you haven't already, go sign up for the LMA. We really need each and every one of you guys. So please go check it out. Matt's got some course work that he's publishing over there. Exclusive limited time deal. You can just get his text courses before the videos are even remotely close to being made. Matt's been publishing all of his written work, and you can go through lesson by lesson. It's all on business. So if you want to know how to grow your laser business, this is a great course for you. Additionally, 15% off coaching if you sign up for the LMA, which is a solid deal. So if you don't like the LMA, get your money back as a coaching discount, and we can help you one-on-one instead. So you really don't have anything to lose there. I'll make sure that a link for Anthony goes in the description, but if you search it, it comes up. Oh, it's already there. Kyle threw it up. So there's a link in the description for that. That's all I've got, guys. Kyle, Matt, I love you guys. Anthony, I'm glad you're a regular now.
Me too.
I'll see you next week, bro.
For sure.
Yeah, buddy. And that's all I've got, guys. So until next time, have a great week. Watch more laser everything. Smash the like button. Leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night.